everyone, it's me. So this week, as promised, I wanted to go over some of the details of my trip to Egypt. So things about the hotel, immigration, flights, food, all that kind of stuff. Last week I did a video of clips of my holiday to Egypt, so if you want to check that out, you know, it's somewhere on the internet. It's on my page somewhere, you know how that works. It's probably gonna be a long one, I am so sorry. I've written all my stuff out that I want to talk about so I don't forget anything, but I mean, I'm probably gonna forget anyway. Just as a quick disclaimer, this was my first time to Hurghada, this is my first time to Egypt, so take that as you will. It's just my own personal experiences and hopefully it might be able to help your trip to Egypt. So without further ado, let's go. On a side note, now this camera kind of blurs your skin so you don't see as many perfections, but my face is now covered in freckles, but I don't get the cute like nose freckles. I get like the random stuff. So when I look in the mirror, it looks like I've got zits all over my face. The dots on my face are not all zits. Some of them are. Some of them are, but not all. I put it into categories. Let's start with TUI. We booked our holiday through TUI. That was the first time I've ever used them. I was a little bit unsure about Egypt, so I just felt like it was a bit more organized to have somebody like looking out for us. So through TUI, we booked the hotel, which was all inclusive, the flights, a coach transfer to and from the airport, and we also booked 2 excursions through TUI while we were at the airport. So it was nice, it was all sort of in one thing. Does that make sense? One thing. This light, I am looking extra orange. I'm gonna have to fix that later. Let's just go with it. Don't look at my skin color. With TUI, you get a rep at the hotel. So the TUI rep at ours was named Saeed, and honest to God, he was the nicest man I've ever met. He was so nice, he was so kind, just very, very nice, and being like with him and with TUI, it just kind of felt very chill because I didn't really have to do anything. Now, immigration to Egypt. Like most countries, you have to fill out a landing card manually. They very kindly have English on the card, so it's really simple, just your basic landing card stuff. Now, what is a little bit of a scam is the entry visa. So you land, you're sort of like walking along, going to this sort of big open room space, and there's like a bunch of guys kind of like shouting at you, and there was a TUI rep. Now I don't know if this was actually a TUI person, but we're like, oh, we're with TUI, and so he points us over to this other TUI guy, and there's a whole bunch of like stalls. And so the idea is you have to pay $25 US each to get a entry visa. If you don't pay in US dollars, you pay the equivalent in whatever currency, you know, pounds, euros, that sort of stuff. We're in line for our like visa thing, and the couple in front of us are told that their visa is 25 pounds per person, which is wrong, and they question it like, no, we've done this before, it's not 25 pounds. So the guy basically just swooshed them away and was like, well, bye. We knew that this was gonna happen because I read about it online, and honestly, I was not gonna be aggressive over a few pounds. I just don't really think it was worth it. We paid our 25 pounds a person. I just want to get out of the airport, basically. But if you are interested in saving a couple pounds and you want to fight it, you're gonna have to find another stall where someone will let you buy a visa for the equivalent of 25 US dollars. I just wasn't really fussed about it, so we just paid and went through. Now, once you get through that visa part, and basically it's just a sticker that goes in your passport, there's like a whole bunch of different queues to see customs. So we just got in whatever queue looks smallest. We went up to the guy. He had his headphone in. You know, it has a little speaker. So he was on the phone while we came up. You give him your landing card and he checks that you've got your visa and it like stamps it and stuff. There's no questions, and then you just get waved on. Then you go on to baggage claim, which was really simple. Overall, the Hurghada airport is really nice. Like, it's really clean. It looked really new. I don't know, it was just a really nice, easy airport. Once we got our bags, we left the airport. Then you just like follow your TUI person. So there's like one person at the door. They're like, oh yeah, you go over there. You go over to that person. They're like, oh yeah, keep going that way. And then there's like this TUI sort of outbuilding where we checked in because we had booked a coach transfer. If you're going to do a travel company like TUI, I would definitely recommend doing the coach transfer. Some of the taxis, we were told, can be a little bit sketchy, and like the price can be a little bit sketchy. So it was just really simple. He told us which coach we were going on. We went over to that coach, put our luggage on. We made sure it was going to our hotel. It was nice. We got on, and that was it. Overall, getting into Egypt and getting onto that coach transfer was really, really simple. Now, immigration home is a bit more of a production, basically. We took, again, the coach transfer from the hotel to the airport. We got there a good 3 hours before our flight, and honestly, we needed the 3 hours. So when you come through the entrance to the airport, you have to scan all your luggage. So your checked bags that you're still holding, those go through. Your carry-on luggage goes through. Everything goes through. You go through a metal detector, and then I very lovingly got a pat down. So just like your basic security, but right at the entrance. Then you have to go to the check-in desks. Everybody has to go. We had already checked in online, but you go anyway. At the check-in desk, we got our proper boarding passes, like they give you the real ones. You also get like a departure card, which is basically like the same thing as the landing card, but as you are leaving Egypt, you have to fill out this departure card. Whatever, that's cool. Also, before you leave the check-in desk, obviously you get your checked bags tagged up and taken off. So you're just left with your hand luggage when you leave that spot. We fill out the card, then we queue for customs again. Again, you go up, there's no questions. You give them your departing card, and they like stamp some stuff. I think they stamp your entry visa sticker again as you are leaving. And then they give you your stuff back and off you go. Once you pass customs, you then go through another security check. This is your basic one again. You put all your hand luggage through the scanner x-ray thing. You go through the metal detector. I then lovingly got a second pat down. What makes the UK a little bit different is the UK government has decided to impose further security. So if you are flying to Germany or Austria or Switzerland, at that point you just go to your gate, you hang out, and then you would board the flight. But the UK says no, that's not enough. We walked all the way to the UK section and we queued again. Now this was the longest queue because they went through every passenger's hand luggage by hand, opened it up, looked at all your stuff, gave every single person a pat down, and drug swabbed most people. So it takes time. It is what it is. You just kind of have to just get through it. Now, just a side note, just a little side note. British people, you guys love to complain. You know you love to complain. You just can't help yourself. Our queue had a couple flights. I think there was like a Scottish flight, a London flight, so we were all kind of in together, and so many people were complaining about this extra security. They didn't want to take their stuff out of their bag, like how dare they, this is ridiculous, I can't believe Egypt is doing this and stuff, and it's just very funny. Yeah, you know, you love a bit of a whinge, you know, that's one, right? A moan and a whinge. But yeah, it seemed, just from my observations, that the British passengers love to complain. So don't complain in the comments that you don't complain, because then, you know, you're just proving my point. Anyway, so I got my third and final pat down. It was pretty straightforward. You then finally get to sit at your gate. We had about 10 minutes and then we boarded the plane. And it was a long day, but I would rather have the extra security than no security, right? Now, right now, as far as I know, Hurghada is the only place in Egypt that the UK will fly to. Everything else is kind of like a no-fly zone. Do not travel to unless you absolutely have to. But Hurghada is still in that green zone. It's along the Red Sea. So that's naturally where we went. That's all where we could go. Tourism in Egypt overall seems to be very low. We were talking to some of the like wait staff and some of the employees, and they were saying normally they might get like 90 flights a day to Egypt, like really bustling. Nowadays they might get 10 flights or 15 flights, and none of the flights are full. So when you drive on that coach transfer from the airport along the tourist area where there's all these resorts, honestly, I would say more than half of the resorts you'll see are abandoned, like closed down, shut, empty. Another big portion of them were never completed, so you'll see resorts like half built, like these like wreckages, like it's just very strange. And then the remaining hotels are still functioning, but they are not full, which is a real shame. One of the big places in Egypt was the Sharm el-Sheikh. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know if I'm pronouncing everything right. Just leave your comments to yourself. I'm trying. So Sharm el-Sheikh, my boyfriend actually went 2 years ago. That was like the big tourist center, I think, for Egypt in terms of resorts. Egypt was going through a revolution. There's also a suspected ISIS terror attack in 2015 that killed 224 people on board a jet. I think it was going from Sharm el-Sheikh to Russia. So that was bombed down. Really big deal, very scary. And basically tourism to that area ceased. Like some of the locals were telling us, like Sharm el-Sheikh is dead, there is nothing there, which is a real shame. And now Hurghada is kind of trying to pick up the pace. People are going, but not nearly as many people. I mean, obviously, I went to Hurghada and I absolutely loved it and we had a fantastic time, but you have to make your own decision on whether you are willing to take a bit of a risk going to a country that is a bit unstable. I mean, you have to just be an adult and use your common sense, but I absolutely loved our trip. It is in the green zone as far as I know, as I am making this video, and I hope it stays that way because it was wonderful, the people were wonderful, but obviously you have to make your own decision. Tipping is a huge part in Egypt life, so expect to tip quite a bit for kind of everything. When you're in the resort and when you're in like our hotel, it wasn't really obvious, people weren't asking for tips, but it is sort of implied. So if you're sitting reception and you know the bartender comes around a couple times, asks you for drinks, get you drinks, like you would tip him. You tip your housekeeper every day, waiters and things. So it is very much part of the culture. I've heard that when you go outside of the resorts and you're more like in the cities, in the towns, people will straight up ask you for a tip. If you give them a tip and they think it's not enough, they will tell you, like, this is not enough, like, give me more. So I've heard where people basically just taken the tip back from them and said, sorry, never mind. So to me, as like an anxious, introverted traveler, I absolutely hate like haggling and tipping and like that sort of like aggressive tipping type idea. It just makes me so nervous. But just be aware that that is part of the culture, this tipping, haggling type culture, so you just kind of have to go with it. One of the things that surprised me was when we were getting onto the coach from the airport, so we had just arrived. I was wheeling my suitcase over to the side, I'm gonna put it in. One of the workers grabbed it, put it in for me, and then immediately asked me for a tip. Like he put my suitcase on the thing and was like, tip. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have any money, and just like walked away and felt really crappy about it. Now our hotel was the Premier Le Rive. It's a adults only hotel, so it was so calm and peaceful and quiet, and it was just so relaxing. Very, very nice. Naturally though, with adult only hotels or resorts or whatever, the clientele tends to be a bit older, so I was most definitely one of the youngest people there. Most people were like 40s to 60s, an older crowd. But we knew that going into it, and that was fine. Like, I really don't care. I'm not really on holiday to make friends. I just want to like eat and sleep and lay in the sun. The hotel is all inclusive for everybody, so you don't have to wear those really dumb bracelets like to indicate who's all inclusive and who's not. Everybody is. Now, the service at the Premier Le Rive, in terms of like the wait staff, the bartenders, the housekeepers, reception, was unbelievable. And I've been very privileged to do a lot of traveling, and I have not experienced that level of service before. So when you're laying around the pool, there would be guys coming around asking for your drink order like once an hour, basically, to make sure have you got enough water? Do you need a drink? They take like 40 people's orders, come back with this huge tray, and remember what everybody ordered while you're lazing by the pool, and this guy's like running around with all these drinks in like 30-degree weather. Another guy would come around the pool and he would clean your sunglasses. Another guy would come around and he was handing out fruit salad, like dishes of cut up fruit and stuff around lunchtime. That was really nice. Just the service was unbelievable. Just, this place is far too posh for me. And that is the other thing. The hotel is very posh. It just is very high end, a little bit too posh for me. But you know, I'll try almost anything. And I'm glad we went, but just understand it is very posh. All the food, the restaurants, the a la carte restaurants we were allowed to go to, breakfast, lunch, dinner at the buffet was all really good. The food was good. I mean, not the best food I've ever had, but it was really good. There was always variety. We were never hungry, basically. Let's just say that. Never hungry. Pretty sure I gained 10 pounds, but you know, you live and you learn. The drinks, guys, the drinks flowed like water. We were at one of the restaurants. They have this Italian restaurant. So we were eating Italian food in Egypt. And I had like white wine. And I swear I would take 2 sips. And the guy would come back around and top me up. I'd have like another few sips. He'd come back around and top me up. I never finished that glass. So I'm not totally sure how much I had, but Lord knows it was a lot. You can't drink the water at Premier Le Rive. I don't know if that's the same around Egypt. I'm assuming the resorts are probably the same. So they give you tons of bottled water. You always have a lot of bottled water in your room. So like brushing your teeth and making tea and stuff, they want you to use the bottled water. And then anytime you're out and around the hotel, they're always asking, you know, do you need some water? Because obviously it's hot as well, so they want to make sure people are drinking. The Premier Le Rive is on the beach, which is one of the reasons why I really wanted to go there, because I always like being close to the water, not being like in the middle of a city. So there's like a little pathway, and then the beach section, there's coral, so you kind of have to pick your spots where you go in the water. You can't just walk right in. But the beach was lovely. The only thing I didn't realize is the sand gets so hot that you can't just walk the beach. You'd have to like wear shoes, or you walk along like the paved path. Otherwise, you will like just burn the absolute crap out of your feet. But the sand was beautiful. The water was beautiful. They had these like umbrella-y tents on the beach. Wonderful, just wonderful. We did 2 excursions through TUI. So we booked them with Saeed. He explained what they were. We booked and paid with him. We paid for one in Egyptian pounds because we had brought money and didn't really need that much. And the other one we paid in British pounds. So the currency at the resorts are kind of funny because like they'll accept different currencies. So it's kind of a bit messy, but anyway, the excursions. So there were different types. There was like cruises and snorkeling, there was desert excursions, there was kids stuff, there was like a water park. So we decided we wanted to do 1 desert and 1 cruise snorkel type thing. Our first excursion was the desert. We did a half day, and honestly, half day was more than enough. I was pleasantly happy with a half day. We got picked up from our hotel at around like 1:30. We went to another hotel to pick somebody else up. Then we went out to the location. We got these like dune buggy cars things that were really, really fun. And I felt like I was in Jurassic Park set in the desert because it had those like mesh panels and these big wheels, and I was like, you know, dinosaurs gonna come around the corner and chase me and stuff. If you have a scarf that you can bring, I would definitely recommend it. Like a fashion scarf, not necessarily like a winter scarf, but one of those thin sort of cotton scarves. Otherwise, you can buy a scarf at the location and you can rent goggles, of which I would recommend having both. But if you can bring that stuff, it would be cheaper, but otherwise it's not the end of the world. But definitely have them. Our guide put our scarves on all nice and perfect. He was an absolute pro. He must have done it like 1,000 times. You get your big goggles and you get in these dune cars. We drove them through the desert into the mountain area. So the driving was super fun. Once you get into the mountain area, the driving's sort of like half an hour maybe. So we split up 15 minutes and then you can switch the driver if you want, take pictures, and then another 15 minutes. When we got into the desert, we learned about the Bedouin people. There were some people there working that made tea and cooked bread and told us about their lifestyle. There's a really short camel ride. We also climbed up this sort of small mountain. You get some really good pictures. And you can see the actual Bedouin village, but they don't want tourists going there because obviously they don't want to be bothered. So the Bedouins will come to this sort of makeshift village, tell you about some of the stuff, show you some stuff, and then they go back to their actual home, which was pretty cool. So then we drove all the way back to the beginning. As the sun was coming down, that was really cool, sun setting over the desert. We had a buffet dinner, and they had like this little show with like belly dancing and like swords and other dancing and stuff. It was a little bit cheesy and the food wasn't that great, but it was nice to just sort of sit and chill in the desert as the sun was going down. That was really cool. So that was called the Big Red Experience, and I would recommend it if you're interested in doing a desert excursion, but not a full day of stuff. Our next one was a cruise and a snorkel. There's this island called Mahmea, something like that. Mahmea sounds kind of right, maybe not. Whatever. So again, coach picks us up from the hotel. We picked up another couple families from different hotels. We get driven straight to the pier. We get on this sort of small yacht. So it's a 45-minute cruise out to this island. It's too shallow for these yachts, so we get picked up in like a smaller little boat, taken to the shore. You pick up your free or included snorkeling gear, so your fins, your mask, a life jacket if you want one, and your snorkel. Then they take you down the beach a little bit, and there's these palms, like palm umbrellas and mattresses and stuff. So what they tend to do is if like there's two of us, so they gave us one mattress and one like palm tree mat, like one of those really thin hard mats. So all you do, if you ask them for another mattress, they'll pretty much give it to you. So we end up with these nice foamy mattresses to put our towels on. You can move them around, lay in the sun or the shade. It was wonderful. The island is built up for this whole purpose. So there is a bar you can buy drinks from. We also got a free drink token, so you could get a drink whenever you wanted. Bathrooms, there's a full-on like restaurant area. We get lunch later. Lots of, oh, they had an ice cream. They had an ice cream thing. What do you call them? Like an ice cream shop. I don't know. We got these like Egyptian style magnums basically. They were absolutely fantastic. After a few hours lazing on the beach, you can then go snorkeling. You don't actually have to, but we wanted to. So you walk back to the small boat. You get on the small boat to the yacht. You get on the yacht goes out for sort of 15 minutes to this really nice coral area. You get snorkeling for sort of half hour, 45 minutes, get back on the boat, back to the island, on the little boat, back onto the shore, and then you've got the rest of the afternoon to hang out. And we don't actually leave the island until 5 o'clock. But the snorkeling itself was really wonderful. The coral was built up so high, so even though we were out in the ocean, you couldn't stand up because you would be standing on top of the coral. So you got really great views of the fish coming up to the surface. It was really fantastic. We leave the island at 5 p.m. So we'll do that 45 minutes back to the mainland, back to the pier. as the sun was setting, which was really cool. So you could just sit out on the top or on the front of the yacht and watch the sun go down. Just wonderful. Out of both excursions, I'm really glad that we did both of them, both a desert and an island snorkeling cruise type thing. It was really worth it in the end, especially having TUI take us there. It's very well organized and make sure we get home. It just was seamless. So overall, I really loved Hurghada. I loved the Premier Le Rive. The staff was fantastic. The food was great. Weather, it just doesn't rain. It doesn't rain, and it was so wonderful. Overall, I would definitely recommend not only the hotel, but Hurghada if you want to do a resort break. Definitely consider Hurghada over Spain. I mean, for us going at Easter time, it was cheaper to go to this 5-star deluxe hotel resort, all-inclusive flights, everything in Hurghada, Egypt, than it was for us to go to one of the islands in Spain or whatever. Like, it was so strange. It's just, give Hurghada a chance if you want that hot, sunny break. We went for a week in April and it was around like 26 to 28 degrees Celsius every day. Beautiful, no clouds. The only thing is it does get windy sometimes, which helps with the heat, so you're not like dripping sweat because you've got a wind coming in, but it's just something to keep in mind. Pools were lovely. Reception was lovely. TUI was good. The only cons that I can think of are the Wi-Fi at the hotel is almost non-existent, which I know it's like, you're on holiday, you don't need Wi-Fi, but there is not a lot of nightlife at the hotel, considering, you know, it's an older clientele. There's not a lot of stuff going on at night, and we only got, I think, 2 or 3 English TV stations, so I was kind of hoping we could watch Netflix at night, watch a movie, you know, put a TV show on and stuff, but the internet was really bad, so you almost had to go to reception with your laptop or your phone and use the internet there. And I'm not going to sit in reception and watch a movie. Even if I could, the internet wouldn't have sustained it. So also, when you fly TUI, at least from London to Hurghada, there is no complimentary service on the flights, both there and back. So no drinks, no food, nada. Food on the plane was really good and was like decent stuff, but obviously it's expensive. So you kind of have to just be aware that you're not going to get anything there or back unless you pay or pack. If you guys have any specific comments about Premier Le Rive or Hurghada or my trip, please leave a comment below. I'm sure I've forgotten stuff, so as I think of it, I'll leave a comment and like pin it to the top or something, but I feel like that's most of it. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye! Also, real short side note, I just got over 10,000 subscribers. What? 10,000 subscribers? 10,000 subscribers. I have to believe some of those are robots. You know, some of those have to be dead accounts. They can't be real. Like, there's not 10,000 real people following. That's unbelievable. But thank you guys so much for your support, all your nice comments, all your thumbs up. You know, all that stuff is really appreciated. And it's hard to believe that this little hobby that I enjoy doing, and only ever thought like friends and family would watch these videos, and then to get 10,000 subscribers. What? Oh my god. It's pretty cool. So thank you. Thanks for your support. Thanks.